There's a concept in Japanese culture called Yutori. It has no direct translation in English, and that's not an accident, because what it describes, we don't really have a word for either. It means something close to spaciousness, room to breathe, the deliberate absence of urgency in the presence of difficulty. And when I first came across it in the context of toddler tantrums, my honest reaction was, that sounds beautiful, and completely impossible at 7 a.m. when your child is on the kitchen floor because the eggs touched the toast. But here's what stopped me. Japan consistently ranks among the lowest in childhood anxiety rates across all developed nations, not because Japanese children have easier lives, not because tantrums don't happen, but because something in how Japanese culture responds to emotional chaos produces a different outcome, and the research is only now catching up to what that something actually is. Today we're going to break it down. What Yutori actually means during a meltdown, what's happening in your child's brain when you apply it, and why the one thing standing between you and this approach isn't a technique you haven't learned yet. It's the discomfort you feel when your child is suffering and you're not doing anything about it. Before we go into the science, I want to know where you are right now. Drop a comment below and tell me, when your toddler has a meltdown, what's your first instinct? Intervene immediately or wait? There's no wrong answer.
And by the middle of this video, your answer is going to make a lot more sense. We have a very specific cultural belief about what a good parent does during a tantrum. They respond, they engage, they do something. The idea that staying present without intervening is a valid strategy, that feels like giving up, like passive parenting, like you saw the situation and decided it wasn't worth your attention. I want to challenge that directly. Because that pressure to act, that pull you feel when your child hits the floor, is not about what your child needs. It's about what you can tolerate. And those are two completely different things. Research on toddler neurological development shows that children between 12 and 36 months have no functional prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making, impulse control, and emotional regulation. When a meltdown begins, what's happening is a full neurological storm. The amygdala, the brain's alarm system, is firing at a level that's been measured at roughly 40 times more intense than an adult in an equivalent situation. The child isn't choosing this. They are physically inside it. And here's where Yutori enters. When we intervene, when we try to negotiate, redirect, or soothe an active meltdown, we're sending information into a system that is currently incapable of processing it. The child can't hear us, not metaphorically. The neural pathways that receive and interpret language are partially offline. We're talking to a closed circuit. What the nervous system can receive, even in full activation, is exactly one thing: the physiological state of the person standing next to it. This is co-regulation, not a technique, a biological reality. Your regulated nervous system is the only signal that actually penetrates a toddler in crisis. And Yutori is, at its core, the cultural understanding that makes that possible, the Japanese recognition that your presence is enough, that your urge to do more is the very thing getting in the way. Let me show you what this looks like in the brain. When a meltdown runs its natural course, without interruption, without an escalating signal from the adult nearby, the average duration is between 2 and 8 minutes. The child's nervous system is designed to self-correct. The amygdala fires, cortisol peaks, and then, if no additional threat signal arrives, the parasympathetic system begins recovery. The storm passes on its own. When we intervene with urgency, when our voice rises, our body tenses, when we physically try to stop or redirect the behavior, we introduce a new threat signal into a nervous system already at maximum activation. We don't shorten the meltdown, we extend it. And over hundreds of interactions, we accidentally teach the child something we never intended to teach, that emotional intensity is dangerous. Because every time it appears, the adults around them enter their own version of crisis. What Yutori does is remove that second signal entirely. The parent is present, close, not leaving, not fixing, not performing calm through clenched teeth, just there, regulated, waiting. And that single input, a steady body nearby, is the only message a toddler's nervous system can receive and actually use in that window. The Yutori concept shows up across multiple layers of Japanese culture. Wabi-sabi, finding beauty in impermanence and imperfection. Ma, the philosophy of meaningful negative space, the silence between notes that gives music its shape. Yutori is the parenting expression of the same underlying understanding, that stillness, space, and non-intervention carry their own active value, that doing nothing, deliberately, presently, without fear, is itself a form of deep care. I want to be clear about something, because this is where Yutori is most misunderstood when it enters Western parenting conversations. This is not permissiveness. It doesn't mean ignoring your child, removing limits, or letting every behavior pass without consequence. It means understanding that the moment of maximum activation is the worst possible time to deliver any of those things, and that the only intervention that works during that window is the one that doesn't look like intervention at all.
If something in what I just described landed for you, if you recognize that pattern of intervening from a place that wasn't actually calm, and you're wondering how to change the sequence before the next meltdown arrives, I want to point you to something specific. It's called the reset cycle. It's a guide I put together here at the Toddler Mind, and it covers exactly what happens in your nervous system during a tantrum, and 3 concrete tools that help you stay regulated when everything in your biology is telling you to react. Not theory, a practical system built for real conditions. The 7 a.m. meltdowns, the grocery store floors, the moments when you feel yourself escalating and don't know how to stop before it's already happened. The link is in the first pinned comment below this video. If what you've been hearing resonates, that's the natural next step. Let's go back to the belief I opened with. You need to do something when your child is having a tantrum. Where does that belief actually come from? Not from research, not from developmental psychology. It comes from a cultural script that equates visible action with care. If you're doing something, you're a good parent. If you're still, you're failing. If the child is crying and you're not actively solving it, something is wrong with you. That belief has a cost that nobody names clearly. It trains parents to respond to their own discomfort, not to what their child actually needs.
And it trains children over hundreds of interactions that their emotional storms produce panic in the people they depend on most, that big feelings are too much, that when they fall apart, the adults fall apart too. Yutori teaches the opposite. When you stay regulated, not performed patience, genuinely regulated, your child's nervous system receives a message that goes deeper than any words. This is survivable. The feeling is enormous, and it is survivable. You don't need to be rescued from it. You are safe enough to fall apart completely because the person next to you is not falling apart. And that message, encoded through hundreds of ordinary moments, not one perfect response, is how emotional resilience is actually built. Not by avoiding difficult feelings, by having an adult consistently present who proves over and over that difficult feelings don't destroy anything. Here's what I actually believe about this. Most parents don't need more techniques. They need less pressure. The pressure to respond correctly every single time. The pressure to be regulated before anyone has given them tools for regulation. The pressure to apply a philosophy in the hardest moments of their lives, while their own nervous system is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Yutori is not a 5-step method. It's permission to trust that your presence, steady, close, unafraid, is enough, more than enough. It is, in fact, the only thing that was ever going to work.
The next time your toddler has a meltdown, you're going to feel the pull. To do something, to fix it, to make it stop. Not for them, if you're honest, but for you. Because watching your child in distress is one of the hardest things a nervous system is ever asked to sit with. And in that moment, I want you to remember one thing. Your regulated presence during the chaos is the only stimulus your child's nervous system can actually receive and use. You don't need to resolve the tantrum, you need to get through it, together. Close enough that they feel you, calm enough that your body communicates what words can't reach in that moment. This is not an emergency. You are safe. I am not going anywhere. That's it. That's the whole method. Not a technique, a posture, one that the West is only beginning to name, and that Japanese parenting culture understood long before any of it was in a research paper. If this landed for you today, if you're looking at your toddler's tantrums differently after these last few minutes, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment and tell me, what's the one thing from this video you're taking into your next hard moment? And if you're not subscribed yet, this is what we do here every single week. We take the most confusing, most exhausting parts of the toddler phase, and we explain what's actually happening. Not to make it perfect, to make it make sense. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. I'll see you there.